Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, South African double Olympic 800-metre champion Caster Semenya was discriminated against by World Athletics. The European Court of Human Rights backs her objection to rules requiring her to artificially lower her testosterone levels. Also, as 9 more African countries prepare for the rollout of the first ever malaria vaccine, I hear from Gavi, the funder of the programme, about the impact that this is likely to have on one of the deadliest killers on the continent. And there's a push in Benin to get more people donating blood. The World Health Organization reckons that if just 1% of the population stepped up with sharing the vital resource, the shortfall would disappear. But first, South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya's been backed by the European Court of Human Rights in her appeal against rules that require her to artificially lower her natural testosterone levels. The 32-year-old runner's refused to do so since the obligation was brought in by World Athletics in 2018. Caroline Lambele has more.
It was a slender victory for Semenya Caster, but a victory nonetheless. On Tuesday, the European Court of Human Rights ruled by a majority of 4 votes to 3 that the champion runner had been discriminated against by rules in track and field. These rules, enforced by World Athletics, would require her to medically reduce her natural hormone levels in order to compete in major competitions. The court's decision came as good news for Caster's fans in South Africa.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Caster. Caster deserves all that's happening.
Go, Caster, go. I can't say it's really comment much because Caster have been winning. She's been doing good. She brought us a lot of awards. So we can cancel now. Just say, let's finish her race, let her finish her life, and let her finish her career. We can stop her. We can keep trialing her. We can keep abusing her. Let's just let her be.
The athlete has a medical condition known as hyperandrogenism, which is characterized by higher levels of testosterone. She has refused to follow any treatment. For years, Semenya has been battling World Athletics over the rules, which have kept her largely idle since 2019. She's already lost appeals lodged with the Court of Arbitration for Sport and the Swiss Federal Tribunal. But the latest decision issued by the European Court doesn't mean the battle is over for Semenya. World Athletics responded shortly after the verdict was issued, saying its rules would remain in place. The judgment will likely be challenged, and the case would still need to go back to the CAS Sports Court in Lausanne. Currently, there are no testosterone limits in place for male athletes.
Now, Sudan's rejected a proposal of regional group IGAD to consider deploying peacekeepers to the country to help protect civilians amidst its war. The East African body had hoped to help mediate the latest efforts at peace talks in Sudan's 3-month conflict, but those have been boycotted by the army. Now, since it began battling the RSF paramilitary group in April, thousands have been killed and millions forced from their homes. Our correspondents report.
These people were forced out of Sudan's capital by fighting. Here in the city of Wad Madani, they've been waiting all day and night to withdraw money. Since the start of the war, this has become almost impossible.
The service is bad. The banks are not opening on time. There is no system in place. We are at least 800 people waiting here, trying to get in, but there is no one there for us.
Getting by is becoming increasingly difficult. Fruits and vegetables are still available at the market in Wad Madani, but only few of the thousands of displaced people here can afford to buy them.
The prices of some goods have increased, such as sugar or oil. I started noticing that some products on the market now come from other countries, such as Egypt or Ethiopia. We also have to be more careful about what we buy. We take fewer things. We are starting to run out of cash. We have to be careful.
Tens of thousands of people fled the capital, but there are not enough homes for them here. 1,500 people are staying in a university dormitory.
At least here, the situation is not as bad. Organizations are here to help us. They bring us food.
The conflict is preventing humanitarian aid from reaching those in need, so locals have been helping out. This organization raised money to help Khartoum residents who fled the fighting.
This enabled us to give food and drinks to all these people. It makes us happy. Freedom is priceless. We want everyone to go back home so that everyone is able to live their lives again.
Since April 15th, the conflict has displaced 2.8 million people. Many lost everything in the race to escape the bloodshed and bombs.
Now, malaria is one of Africa's deadliest diseases, and 95% of all the cases in the world are found on the continent. 96% of deaths from the disease as well, most of whom are children. There's a lot of excitement over the rollout of the first ever vaccine that could offer a decisive blow in the battle against a leading cause of death across Africa. Known as Mosquirix, the vaccine's already been administered to over 1.7 million kids in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi as part of a pilot, and now 18 million more doses will also be shared out amongst 9 other countries, including Benin, Burkina Faso, Uganda, and Liberia. I'm joined now by Mr. Tabani Mafosa from the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, which has partially funded the program. Mr. Tabani Maposa, thanks so much for making time to speak to me. Now, first of all, 12 countries are lined up for Mosquirix doses. Around 30 say they also want in. What kind of impact is this next stage of the rollout likely to have on the battle against malaria across Africa?
Thank you so much. I think that Gavi and the whole public health community is extremely excited about this development and the opportunity for a malaria vaccine to be part of the toolkit of responding to malaria. The impact that this will have is that it will reduce mortality by probably a third. It will reduce hospitalization of children. And in a sense, it really contributes to the number of children who don't have to suffer from this disease. It is an important tool amongst many other tools that have already been out there, but it is an important tool that is absolutely needed.
Now, the pilot started for Mosquirix in 2019. So what did you learn from those years trialing it in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi?
Thank you for that question. I think the most important lesson and the reason for the pilots in those countries was to ensure that the vaccine was safe and effective. It is important for all vaccines to be tested for this because obviously we don't want to cause harm. That is the first principle that we operate. And I'm glad to say 1.7 million children have been vaccinated and the vaccine has proven to be safe and effective with 4 doses of this vaccine.
Now, beyond the vaccine itself, what else is key in this pushback against malaria on the continent?
Well, one of the things that is key is the communities and their role in making sure that the vaccine is accepted. And, you know, the exciting thing is that we occasionally see some vaccine confidence issues or some hesitancy. But with this one, parents seem to be extremely excited. Mm-hmm. Anything that can save their children's lives is something that they are willing to break. And this vaccine clearly offers that promise of making sure that while the parents may visit the hospital or the clinics 4 times to get the jabs, they may not actually visit hospitals when there is a life-threatening issue. So vaccine confidence and acceptance at community level is an important step. But also another thing that is really quite important here is making sure that we don't treat it as a single bullet, but one that works as part of a packet of other tools that are there, like mosquito nets and other therapeutics that come along.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tabani Maposa. They're the Managing Director of Country Programs for the Gavi Vaccine Alliance.
Thank you.
Now, bagged blood is a limited resource in many countries on the continent. In Benin, part of the difficulty in getting people to donate are cultural beliefs that mean many communities are suspicious of doing so. But experts reckon that a chronic and fatal shortage of blood bags could be fixed if just 1% of the country gave blood. Our correspondents report.
This blood bank aims to collect 50 bags in Zobodome, a rural area in Benin, a place where locals are reluctant to donate their blood. People feared their blood would be used for witchcraft. Today, blood donation advocates engage with local communities and their leaders to change this cultural misconception.
I didn't want to donate blood. I didn't see how I could benefit from it. But in the end, I told myself that I should give it to save lives.
This truck helps to reassure people, especially those who are hesitant. When they see the environment, the air conditioning, and that everything is in order, it helps them to ultimately make the right choice.
At the end of the campaign, they are still 2 blood bags short of achieving their goal. This young doctor says that getting young people on their side is crucial to changing attitudes in the long term.
We believe that a young person between 18 and 25 who embraces the concept of blood donation today will be a donor for the next 30 years.
The young artist, Tiaf, lost a friend due to a blood shortage. He uses his music to encourage others to donate blood. According to the WHO, donations from just 1% of Benin's population is enough to prevent a shortage. The National Blood Transfusion Agency says that only 0.7% of Beninese currently do so.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again. Till then, take care.